Hello there. This is our daily tarot. As you can see, try to block the sun a little bit. We have some snow on the mountain behind me. So winter is coming, as the phrase goes. We have some interesting cards on the table today, to be quite honest. A few major arcanas and some energies on the table that are telling to some things that we're working through. The opening card that we have is the Knight of Cups. The challenge that we're facing today came in as the Magician. The way that we're going to get through the challenge is the Hermit. The ultimate outcome is the Hierophant, and then the clarity behind the Hierophant is the Queen of Swords. So we're feeling a little bit of emotional trepidation in regard to something that we feel like we have to cross, or some emotional space that we are kind of hesitant to go into. I say that because, the Knight of Cups as our opening energy is this energy of allowing your emotional intelligence to guide you. And there's some hesitation in that, right? It's not like it's fire where it's like full speed ahead. Like, you have to actually feel out the circumstance to figure out how you want to move and maneuver with it, right? Much like how a waterway finds its path down a mountain or through a meadow. It maneuvers in this flow that has a current that kind of leans into something and then moves forward and leans into something else. So there's this quality of taking a step and waiting, and taking a step and waiting, seeing how that other person responds as you go into the situation, or how the situation itself responds, right? Listening to that emotional intelligence as we're moving into this situation. The challenge that came in today is the energy of the Magician. Now, the energy of the Magician is this energy of knowing that you're the conduit, and that there's something that you are here to create and manifest. And I don't mean manifest by like, I really want this to happen and I see it, pling, it happened. I mean, when you set your anchor on something that is really important to you, the universe will conspire for your favor. And an example that I mean by that is, I had always worked with essential oils, and I'd been really passionate about essential oils for the majority of my life, right? I'm about to be 44. It started around the time I was 14. So for about 30 years, I've been working with essential oils. And it became a really big passion of mine because I'm allergic to everything synthetic. So essential oils offered me this path to learn about plants and what they offer to us by way of nature rather than synthetic chemistry. And that embarked me in a path of making my own salves and all kinds of things, right? Before I ever went to school to actually become an herbalist. And I bring that up because my heart was tied to natural medicine. And I had this incident in my life where I woke up one morning and I had a dream, which was kind of a nightmare. My whole roll top desk that was filled with essential oils was empty. And I ended up in this like really profound space where I, had to sit and have a conversation with God or the sky or whatever it is you like to give equality by word to all and everything that's out here in the world for us to engage with by way of energy. I call it God, but not in a sense of a religious sense, because within it, it holds everything. And just like that, the mountain is God, and the sky is God, and the sun is God. Everything is a reflection of God. That's a whole nother side subject, okay? I was telling a story about how I basically had this nightmare, and I sat down and I was like, okay, look, I know that I do this thing with essential oils that helps people, and I don't know how I'm going to afford to be able to do this if I continue to give it away, and I need your help. And so I give it over to you, right? I give it to you to help me figure this out. And within 2 weeks, I had a horrible customer at the job that I was working with. So horrible, in fact, that I decided to quit my job without any idea of what I was going to do for work. And within 2 weeks of that, I actually came across an ad that was advertising for someone to work in an essential oil company. And I applied and they hired me. And within a couple of weeks, they gave me a raise because I was the first person they'd ever hired with actual aromatherapy background. And then I started writing their website, and there was all kinds of things that happened from that. But this is what I see as a manifestation of my wish, because I put it out there in the universe and I let it show up and bring something back to me. And what it initially brought to me was a really big storm, right? Something that just rattled me inside of my body, so much so that like my mind couldn't argue against it, right? It couldn't bring any rational piece to the table, like, bills and things like that. It was something I had to listen to in my being. And so when you feel like you have this calling, right, you have to remember that you have the ability and you have the skill set to create or manifest that which you feel called to. And that is the energy of the conduit, right? They are actually taking down the energy and inspiration from the divine and actualizing it with all of their tools. And the tools that they have are their mind, which in the tarot is the sword, right? How we use our mind, how we speak our truth. We have the cups on the table, which is our emotional center and our emotional being. We have the pentacles, which is actually our physical body, also given the quality of our values and things that we put material value on. And then we also have the wand, which is our willfulness, right? So we have all of these things showing up together on the table as our challenge today. And I think it's doing that because it's asking us to align ourselves with all of our tools. And perhaps if we feel out of alignment, like the mind is running away with us or the emotions are, bringing us down, perhaps it's time to engage one of your other tools, right? Like for me, something that helps to quiet the mind and the emotions is movement. And so I'm getting ready to go out on a walk today in this beautiful weather because it was really gloomy and rainy yesterday, which is why we have snow on the mountain behind me. So how do you engage your tools? How do you use your tools? Can you use them to create something together? Now, the way that we're going to get through the challenge showed up as the Hermit. Now, the Hermit is an energy of a bit of isolation. So it may be that while you really want to go out and be socially involved with people, this is a better time to actually turn away from the social environment and turn your attention towards that which you feel like is important. It's also quite telling of how we can be kind of critical with our minds and how we need to actually start like having a little bit of assimilation of the information and separating what's, useful from what's not useful so that we can actually put our attention on that which is actually practical for us. The Hermit is kind of governed by Virgo energy, which is mutable earth. It's all about practical efforts and where we put our time and energy day to day. And so perhaps the way that we are going to actually be able to create that which we have the vision for is to create a routine for ourselves and become disciplined with it and around it. Now, ultimate outcome that we have for today came in as the Hierophant, which is noting the energies up in Taurus right now, and it's clarified by the Queen of Swords. So this for me stirs in this idea of where we feel called to engage by our own value system. Like what is actually important? Where do we have discipline with ourselves? And the Taurus energy is also speaking about our monetary systems and things that we have value and social structure. And right now we're seeing a lot of things shift in that. And it can really press on us and trigger us in a lot of ways. And if you've participated in the social media experiment, you've probably witnessed people who are friends and family kind of butt heads a lot based on political situations, medical situations, all kinds of things, right, in the last couple of years. And I think that that is a tactic by the powers that were, that is trying to make us turn against each other. And I think that this card that we have as kind of the final outcome of the Hierophant, clarified by the Queen of Swords, it's asking you what your real values are, right? Who is your community? And what do you stand for? Because I think when it comes down to it, what we've been conditioned to stand for is very different than what we feel in our being is important. Like if we washed away politics, if we washed away religion, if we washed away all of these things that people identify themselves as, could we see that they are actually more than that they identify with? And can we still be in exchange and be in community aside and along with that? I think that's what's important, because it's no one's place to tear us down. And it's key for us to put our energy and effort and anchor on what is important to build. And it comes down to exchange, right? It's not all about what I get and what you get. It's about this world that we are living in, hopefully together in peace. And as things shift and change, because I think we likely are going into a lot of big shifts and change, I encourage you to just sit in that space and consider how much one small thing can shift the planet. Because right now there's a lot of anger and hatred being stirred up. And that's an energy. It's a current, right? It's something that we're putting out in the world. And it has been pointed out, and there have been experiments done, that if people come together in a place of mindfulness and meditation, they can shift the energetics in the environment that they're in. And so I guess I ask us to look at our true values and what is actually important in the grand scheme of things. And perhaps it's time we put our attention there. I send you all a good wish and a lot of love. I know we're getting ready to go through the first doorway of this eclipse in a couple of days. There's likely going to be a lot of shifts happening. So it's asked you to listen to these tools that you have in your being and remember that we're all in this together. I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.